Seasoned Vipassana meditators practice year after year, decade after decade, retreat after retreat, failing to recognize and connect the dots to this meditative concept. They've heard the theory over and over again.
These sensations, they arise, sooner or later pass away. They arise, sooner or later they pass away.
But can't seem to integrate it on an experiential level. Even though they think they've understood it, they really haven't, or aren't putting in enough effort to realize the experiential benefits. And this holds them back from liberating insights. But you don't have to be one of them. You could be one of the Vipassana meditators who gets it and moves forward with their practice. I'm talking about impermanence, truly understanding it properly on the experiential level. Guys, I can't wait to share with you what I've been hammering into my brain for the past month, reading Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha by Daniel M Ingram. This is the video that I wish existed before I went on all of my 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats, all 3 of them. And this is part 1 of a 3-part series on the 3 characteristics.
When it comes right down to it, the 6 sense doors and the 3 characteristics, meaning impermanence, suffering, and not self, are the most important thing you could possibly learn.
Let's first take a more conventional understanding of where we go wrong. Typically, we might wake up in the morning feeling groggy, depleted, and agitated before stumbling our way into the kitchen. We get jacked up on caffeine and gradually, slowly but surely, we begin to spark up and feel more positive emotion. Then 2 p.m. strikes. The crash hits us. Again, we feel aversive and washed out. And the cycle continues over and over again. Or in meditation, we get into deep jhana concentration states, clinging to the bliss these states bring and hoping that they won't change. And if our concentration subsides, we feel aversion. We want nothing more than that blissful state of mind. So in both of these 2 situations, we're failing to cut through to the true nature of the sensate reality that makes up those positive and negative mind states. And it's this very process of clinging and having aversion to negative mind states that fuels the wheel of suffering. If we truly want to be free and awaken to the reality of our experience, we have to practice, and we have to practice properly.
We need to understand our sensate reality to awaken to it, and we do that through direct perception.
Imagine that our experience of life is a movie. Every movie is made up of individual frames that, when strung together, gives us the illusion of continuity. And this is the case of our very experience. When we look really closely with microscopic assessment of our sensate reality, like we do in Vipassana meditation practices, we realize that our entire experience of what we call life is made up of physical sensations and mental sensations. We fail to see that our reality is made up of sensations pulsing frame by frame by frame, flickering in and out of existence. That sensations arise out of nothing, do their thing, and they're gone completely. That nothing lasts for even a microsecond, and complete transience is the absolute truth of our sensate reality. We must come to terms with the fact that what we assume to make up our universe doesn't even exist most of the time from a purely sensate point of view. This is our practice. This is exactly and precisely what we are trying to understand with Vipassana meditation practices. Knowing this is what leads to freedom. But Sam, I hear you ask, how could something so trite and something so mundane lead to our awakening and our freedom from suffering? Because understanding impermanence this deeply, experientially, not just intellectually, is what breaks the illusion of continuity and leads to wisdom. Through repeated practice, we flip over to an entirely new way of perceiving the world, one that exists entirely in the present moment, a hyper-present reality where we're simply riding the waves of existence from a sensate point of view, up and down, without over-interpreting, without craving and clinging for pleasant sensations. We're simply just experiencing what is.
For all the sensations, you have to flip over to a very, very different way of perceiving things, where everything stands for itself naturally and contains its own perception of its occurrence.
So how do we do this? Well, we have to come to one-to-one parity of the sensations that are making up our experience, noticing their arising and passing away at the highest resolution that we possibly can until we flip over to this way of perceiving the world as our default state. And by resolution, I literally mean dialing up our perception of sensations arising and passing away toward a rate of 1 to 10 times per second to start with, working our way upwards to 40 times per second and maybe even higher for advanced practitioners, while not straining our attention and over-efforting. So yes, this literally means that we have to be experiencing the arising and the passing away of each individual sensation as much as we can, moment to moment, in every single thing that we do. Now, for newer practitioners who understandably think this is incredibly difficult to perceive 1 to 10 sensations per second, it's completely understandable. But here's a little experiment we can do. If we tap all 5 fingers on a desk with one hand, twice in a second, boom, we've just perceived 10 sensations arise and pass away. Plus add in the fact that you might have heard a dog barking, the fact that you're seeing and possibly smelling and tasting. You've probably noticed even more than you thought. Ask yourself questions like, how fast are things vibrating? How many sensations am I noticing arising moment to moment? This is exactly what you're trying to perceive. Now, reality is obviously much more complex with all sorts of sensations, but in Vipassana practices, the bottom line is this. We basically just have to notice the living shit out of every single sensation that arises and passes away, no matter what the sensation is, with as much resolution and clarity as possible, until that becomes our default way of perceiving the world, where no longer we need to make effort to have a conscious intention to notice sensations. It simply becomes the default way that the brain operates, and this can happen. I cannot emphasize this enough. And for those of us who apply this knowledge, awakening is coming. See you in the next video, guys. It's my hope that you take this knowledge and you apply it. Simply intellectualizing it and hearing this video isn't going to be what makes the difference. What's going to make the difference is you applying it to your experience. If you want more pragmatic mindfulness videos like this one, subscribe to the channel. And also, if you found value, I'd appreciate if you leave a like. It just helps out because I'm a new channel for my channel to be discovered by the algorithm.